Matthew, it's Field Yates. Do you know what that means? Rank-Pocalypse!
All right. Field, you and I do a podcast together.
Sure do, begrudgingly.
Yeah. We're basically the same age. We dress alike. You and I have tons of similarities.
Yeah.
But there
Both have
are
8 kids.
Yep, exactly. But you and I do have differences in our rankings.
Sure do.
Yeah.
This is a 2-hour special, by the way, to hash these out, right?
Yeah, I believe it is.
Okay.
I believe it is. All right, let's start with Marcus Mariota. So this is a guy that I have as QB 8.
Yeah.
You have him outside your top 10. You have him QB 15. I let you have the floor.
Only the Cowboys drop back on a lesser percentage than the Titans last season. This is a run-first team, except for Marcus Mariota. He got 12 red zone carries last season. He's this incredible athlete who can do so many things with his legs, and yet they're protecting him. They are playing him within the pocket more frequently than as a runner like we saw in college, Matthew. I know they added a bunch of weapons this offseason, but it's going to take some time to integrate all of those pieces, including a rookie wide receiver in Corey Davis. Not to mention, he's so volatile. He had this incredible stretch during the middle of last year. Marcus Mariota is a fantasy yo-yo when it comes to quarterbacks, though. So, as usual, you're wrong.
I don't know about that. I mean, I have him as my QB 8. Last year, weeks 1 through 15, remember he gets injured in week 16, so we won't count that game. Weeks 1 through 15, he was the 7th best quarterback in fantasy. So, I mean, even last year on a run-first team without all the weapons they added, he brings back Rashard Matthews, brings back Delaney Walker, adds Eric Decker. You mentioned Corey Davis, the rookie, but Eric Decker, one of the best red zone wide receivers in the NFL over the last couple of years. And by the way, since Mariota entered the league, there's been no one more efficient in the red zone than Marcus Mariota. So I believe he takes a big step up. You and I both like that offensive line. I believe they were 5th in pass protection last year in terms of pass protection rate. So
a lot of great points right there. You're wrong, but great points.
Fair enough. Let's move on to Marshawn Lynch here. So I'm buying the hype. I'm buying the comeback. Beast mode is back. I currently have him as running back 11. Field, you have him as running back 19th and 54th overall. So while we both have him as an RB2, I have him as a high-end RB2, you have him as a low-end RB2, but we're about 2 rounds apart in terms of the overall. What don't you like about Beast Mode?
Well, people say that I remind them of Beast Mode a lot.
Yeah,
in a
no
lot
doubt.
of ways, not the least of which is this. Back
Listen,
in
sun's out, guns out when you're around Field Yates. Make no mistake.
You think I like the summer for a reason?
Absolutely,
I sure do.
yeah.
Back in 2015, the last time he played, by the way, because he was retired for a season.
This is true.
Marshawn Lynch and I both had the same number of touches that went over 25 yards. Now, the difference is I had 0 total touches. He had 132 with the Seahawks that season. He was not nearly as explosive or effective as we saw him in previous years. Now he goes to Oakland, where the offense is good, and it could be really good this year, but when they get inside the red area, they want to throw the football. They had the 27th highest red zone rushing percentage last season because you've got guys like specifically Michael Crabtree and to a degree Amari Cooper as well. I just don't know that I'm buying it quite as much as others are after a year away for Beast Mode.
You mentioned the big play ability seems to have gone down. I'm not worried about that. Again, you don't need to run 25 yards when all you need to do is scamper 3 into the end zone. Latavius Murray was the 13th best running back in fantasy last year, despite missing 2 games, despite, frankly, not even being that good because he got so many red zone opportunities. I understand what you're saying about what they like to do in the red zone, but the fact of the matter is that's a team that scored. They had the 6th most rushing touchdowns in the NFL. They were one of 6 teams to average 120 rushing yards a game. It's a team that can run the ball. I like the fact that Donald Penn is back in camp as well as now. That's a very good offensive line. I think you and I will agree there, right?
Yeah, it is a great
offensive line. It's a very good offensive line. Jack Del Rio likes to give it to one guy around the goal line, and now he gets one of, if not the greatest goal line scorer of the last 5 years in Marshawn Lynch. I think the year off actually helps him on Marshawn Lynch. All right, you're 0 for 2, but let's try now. Let's see what you can do with Julian Edelman.
Yeah.
You spent time in the Patriots front office before coming to ESPN. Give me a reason why you believe Julian Edelman is a top 17 fantasy wide receiver. I currently have him as wide receiver 37. I'm the outlier here.
Right.
You have him as a top 20 guy.
So he finished wide receiver 15 last year. And
Yes,
I get
he did.
it. There are new pieces involved. Brandon Cooks is there.
Yes.
Gronk is now healthy again. But this
Yes.
offense is going to be crazy, ridiculously bananas good. On top of that, he had 9 games last year with at least 7 catches. That was tied for the most in the NFL. He's consistent. And since 2013, you know the players that have averaged more receptions per game than him? Antonio Brown, Julio Jones, Odell Beckham Jr.
I've heard of all those guys,
Great
by the way.
company to be in for Julian Edelman. By the way, you like to talk about this quarterback-wide receiver relationship. He's like Tom Brady's best friend, like one of his best friends in the world, not just on the team. I think that 3 Patriots are going to have over 1,000 receiving yards this season, Edelman, of course, being one of them.
That's the only argument you have. I mean, you speak about best friends. You and I are best
We are
friends,
best friends,
but I'm not going to catch 1,000 yards from you this year. My concern about Edelman is that his game has always been based on volume. He's never been a big touchdown scorer. I know he had the 7 2 years ago, but 3 last year is much more in line with what he did. If you look at what he did when Rob Gronkowski was healthy last year, just 3 red zone targets for Edelman. So now you add Brandon Cooks, you add a healthy Rob Gronkowski. I don't see him scoring a ton. Plus, all the running backs they have, another year of Malcolm Mitchell and Chris Hogan. So you're basically basing it on volume. And maybe he could get to be the third 1,000-yard receiver, but I am in on Gronk. I'm in on Brandon Cooks. That volume has to come from somewhere, and I think it comes from Julian Edelman. So if he's not scoring and the volume is down, that's why I'm concerned about him. He's just not a guy that's going to win you your league. He's solid, but he's not a guy that's going to win you your league.
Which carries a lot of value, Matthew, with all due respect. And there's just an ounce of respect that I actually is owed to you.
Yes, sir.
You're still in preseason 4. Like, I win. Come on.
You survived Rank-Pocalypse!